Okay, so you're going to need whichever pattern papers you have chosen for this collection. I'm going to refer to the different patterns as pattern paper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It just makes it easier and less confusing than actually giving the names of the paper. Alright, so like I said, I'm using our collection called Remember Me. From this collection, I've chosen one big background, so you're going to need one pattern that you're going to choose for your base page. It's the 30.5 by 30.5, and I've chosen that one, so you need one of those. Then you're out of your pattern paper number 1, okay? So this is referred to as the base page, and then this is pattern paper number 1. I will always give the measurements width first, then height, okay? So from your pattern paper number 1, you are going to cut a piece that measures 30.5 centimeters across, so it already comes like that. So out of the 30.5, you need to just give me a 19 centimeter strip. So we'll need that. Then from pattern paper number 2, I've already cut what I want. You're going to cut 2 pieces. I need a piece that measures 2.5 centimeters down and another piece that measures 2 centimeters down. So out of your pattern paper number 2, we will have 2 strips, 2.5 centimeters and a 2 centimeter strip. Okay, then out of your pattern paper number 3, I'm going to use the stripe, same thing. Paper, we're going to use the 30.5 centimeters across, and you're going to need a piece that measures 3 centimeters down and another piece that measures 2.5 centimeters down. So that would be for your pattern paper number 3. Then for pattern paper number 4, it is, let me find it, it's the back of this, it's this denim color. You are going to need 2 pieces that measure 10 centimeters across, 4.5 centimeters down, and then another piece that's going to go this way that measures 10 centimeters across and 11 centimeters down. And then I have used a circle punch. I'm going to show you on a white piece of paper. I've used the circle punch to just create like a little divot in the corner. You just have to slide it in and punch, and then you get this ticket. It starts to look like a little ticket like that. Okay, there we go. So I've done that at the bottom of the piece that measures 10 centimeters across, 11 centimeters down. Then to create this file tab look, I just used my the envelope maker punch board and basically just shifted. We'll do it this way. I slid the piece in up to where this arrow is. I slid it in. If I turn this to where the punch starts, I slid it in like that and punched, so that I get that effect, and then turned it over and did the same thing, just slid it in again, show you again, to where, just where the punch, the metal part of the punch starts, and press down to create a tab effect like that. Okay, so remember, this piece I've done the tickets at the bottom, and the other piece I've done the file tab at the top. Okay, so that's out of the back of your stripey, or what we will refer to as your pattern paper number 4. Okay, then pattern paper number 5 is the back of, I'm using the back of this one. So there will be a little strip that would have come off, because you only cut a 19 centimeter strip from this one. So the back of this one, or your pattern paper number 6, you're going to cut one piece that measures 10 centimeters across and 6.5 centimeters down. That's your pattern paper number 5. And then another one that measures 10 centimeters across and 5 centimeters down. And again, I've taken this little circle punch and just made little tickets. One of them is going at the bottom of the page, so the ticket needs to be at the bottom, and one is going at the top of the page, so you need to make the ticket stubs at the top. Right, so just to run through again, so your pattern paper number 5, 10 centimeters across, 6.5 centimeters down, 10 centimeters across, 5 centimeters down. Okay. And then the last little piece is, like I said, where did it go? I don't have a full sheet of this left. I just had a little piece of this pattern paper left, and that'll be your pattern paper number 6. Again, it's cut 10 centimeters across, 4 centimeters down, and then I just used the envelope punch board to make a file tab. You will also need, from this sheet here, I cut out the sentiment, both of them. I took this piece here and I have this one here. So adore this, life is better when you're laughing. I want that piece. And then from this, wherever you go, no matter how far, I'll always carry your heart with mine. I cut that out, but I'm only going to use the piece that says always carry your heart with mine. And then from here, from the back of this page, I cut this off here. I've just taken that little piece. That's all I need. I just need that tab from there. I didn't use anything else from here or from here, just those strips. But from the on our bonus sheet and at the back of the cover sheet, I cut out some of the tabs. I cut these two, so there's that. I have those two, and then I cut this piece out here. Fussy cut that out, and the one with the little dots. I fussy cut that out. And then for this one is this one I've cut out. Okay, so you're just going to need 3 tickets and 2 of the tabs. And like I said, that comes from that. I just cut this little piece off here. I just wanted that. And it doesn't matter about the date. It's going to tuck behind a photo and we won't see it. So that's basically everything you need to be able to create the background. I am going to ink everything. And when I'm done, I will be back to show you how to assemble the background. I'm just going to show you quickly how I ink around the edges. I'm not going to use distress ink or any of that. I want to use my paint. I use a domed foam blending tool, or if you have sponge top, if you have one of these with your paints, they're actually really awesome to use. So basically I've put some paint on my mat. I'm sprayed it with a little bit of water. I'm going to pick it up with a domed foam, just work that paint into my foam, and then I'm going to tap along the edges of all my pattern paper to create like a distressed kind of feel instead of a blended effect. Okay, if you get too much paint on like I did over there, you can just wipe off the excess because it hasn't dried yet and go in and do it again to fix it the way you want it to be. Okay, so I will keep just dabbing paint on the edges like this until I'm happy with the effect. I don't want a blended effect. I like that it comes on a little bit more distressed here and there, and that it's darker on some areas than on others, because that is the effect that I'm going for. So I'm quickly going to do everything and I will see you in a bit. Okay, remember the sponge will hold quite a bit of paint, so if it starts to dry out, it's always we can always just add a little bit of water to what's on the mat and use your blending tool to pick it up, and you can just see how much paint is in there. When I did the little embellishments, I went around the edges first like this, so tapping the foam onto the little embellishment like that. And then you will also notice that I worked up in the air. I didn't have my paper flat on on my surface, and that is again so that I could get a more distressed look. A nice thing to do as well is to take the sponge and lightly tap it here and there on your embellishment so that you can carry that little bit of distressed look a little bit further over. And you will see, like on this one, I've gone a little bit heavier with my paint on the sides here than I have on the top. So like that, and then also this one shows it off quite nicely. Again, I held it up and I tapped the sponge here and there on the surface to bring a more distressed look through. Okay, if it was flat on the surface, what tends to happen when we do that? Okay, so this is working up in the air. I get that nice distressed look, and I can control where I want to add a little bit of extra distress. Whereas if I was working on the surface, you tend to do that, and we tend to get a set pattern, as opposed to where there's nothing at the back to hold it. So you get a more even spread of paint, I think, and you can choose how dark or how light you want it to be, as opposed to if we had it down the bottom, because now you're trying to build it up and then it becomes more of it covers too much of the area. Okay, again, this is 100% optional. If you don't enjoy inking, you don't have to. So I've gone around the edges of everything. I have all my bits and pieces inked. I am going to clean up my space, go and wash my sponge, and I will see you in a bit. And just remember that if you wash your sponges immediately after you've used them, you wash that paint out, you are able to reuse the sponge over and over and over again. I also hope that you noticed how little paint I needed to put on my surface and how long it lasted in the sponge. By adding water, I managed to ink everything. On my background, I know that my papers are going to reach the edges here, so I've only added ink at the top and the side here. Add a little bit more, and the bottom is around there as well. When I'm done and everything's in place, I might then go around and add a little bit extra. Okay, so let me clean up and I will see you in a bit. Right, so all your little bits and pieces should be cut out and inked, and your chippies or your grey board cutouts, whichever you have on hand, or if you've done some paper ones, but whatever you've decided to use, they should be colored in and ready to go. All that's left before we assemble is to cut your photo mats. So if you're using the same size photos as me, I use 3 photos that are portrait that measure 8 by 10. So you will need to cut out of your dark cardstock. So you'll need a sheet of dark cardstock. You will cut 3 pieces to measure 9 centimeters across, 11 centimeters down. So there's 3 of those. We need 3 like that. So that's out of the dark cardstock. Okay. Out of your light cardstock, I used white. I know that it looks like the black would have worked better, but the black was just it just looked dull on the paper, so that's why I went for the very dark brown, and I inked around the edges with some black. And then I used white, so you'll need 3 pieces of the white for your photo mats to measure 8.5 centimeters across and 10.5 centimeters down. So you have 3 dark photo mats and 3 lights. So I've also inked around the edges with the black. So you will mat your photo onto the light and then mat that onto the dark. Okay, I will add photos when I'm done. Right, so you'll need those one side as well. So I'm quickly going to run through the assembly process, where my thought process is going, and then we can take it from there. So remember I said we need a base page, and I've chosen this one. Goes this way. Okay, this is going to be the base page for me to add all my little goodies to. The plan for me then is to have this one running, so my piece that measured 19 centimeters down, I want it to be running across like that. And then the border of the strips, the pattern paper number 3 is going to go at the top here, and the narrow one, the 2 centimeter strip, I'm thinking to have it at the bottom here, like that. And then your pattern paper number 2, which is the big circles, again the broader strip, the 2.5 centimeter strip, is going to go at the top here, a little bit sticking out like that. And then the narrow one, the piece that measures 30 by 2 centimeters, 30.5 by 2, that one's going to go, just want to make sure the text is the right way, that one's going to go in over here, like that. And then my idea is to have my photos running across. And I don't want them in the middle. I would prefer to have them offset slightly to the right like that, because everything is like centered. I think this will just add that little bit of balance to move it over to the side. And then obviously the little photo mats are going to go over there like that. Right, then this strip that we cut out, this adore this, life is better when you're laughing, to the moon and back, perfect moments. I think that'll look very nice over there. And then we have these, the tags and tickets that we have cut out. And then we've got all these little goodies. So let's just get everything added first. So we're going to add our tabs and our tickets that we've created. So this tab comes from your ticket, comes from your pattern paper number 4. It measures 10 centimeters across, 11 centimeters down, and I've made that little ticket at the bottom. You want to make sure if your pattern has text on like mine, you don't want it to go in upside down. If you have made the little ticket goodies in the wrong place, it's not the end of the world. You can still make them, you can still fix it and put them at the bottom, because this little piece is going to slide underneath the photo mats, and you won't be able to see that we made a little flipsy there at the top. It's not the end of the world. We're able to hide that under there. So that little piece is going to go about over there. Then out of your pattern paper number 5, you're going to need the ticket that you created that measures 10 centimeters across, 6.5 centimeters down. And that one's also going to shift underneath the photo mats, but come slightly over. And it just this will be closer so you won't see it. So, and it's just slightly up from the denim one, and it lays on the circle one. When I start to stick things in place and move stuff up and down, it might change a little bit, but for now, that's kind of where I want it. And then I wanted this, always carry your heart with mine. I'd like that to run over here like that, and which then I'll have this go under it like that. So this tag or ticket can shift up just slightly like that. Okay, so there we go, like that. It's going to look something like that. Shift everything up slightly so that this can fit. Okay, right, something like that. Then we're going to add these tickets, because now we need to bring some of what's going on here at the top like that. I'm all about creating some balance. So this one, I think we're going to slide under here and have it stick out, just stick out slightly over the circle pattern. And then this piece that I didn't have the full sheet, it's your pattern paper number 6. It measures 10 by 4. That one is going to, I think if we slide this one in here so that it hangs slightly over the stripy paper, like that. When it's all sticking, it'll settle in place a little bit better. But just so that you can see where the planning is, so that if you have things similar, bigger or smaller, that you can also then just place everything where it needs to be. Then we need to bring some of this denim up. So I was thinking to put this one straight onto the background. So tuck it in underneath there. So, and bring it slightly over. We can bring this one a little bit more across so that it's sort of in line with that one, like that. Okay. So there we go. That's starting to take shape quite nicely. Right, so we have all the bigger pieces, the bigger tickets and tabs in place. So we want to add a little bit of extra goodies. So that's where these smaller tickets are going to come into play. So we can add another little ticket over here, like that, a little something like that. And then bring this one, this little tab, we can then bring into play over here. So a nice balance of big and small tickets like that. And then we can add another ticket over here, which means that that one can go in. We can shift this over slightly so that more of the blue can show. And I think that's going to look quite nice. And then we can add this one in just to bring it over a little bit more. Like that. Maybe up a little bit like that. And then add this one, bring that layer down like that. So basically we're just kind of trying to build little layers on the page. So the paper is layered, the tags and tabs are layered, and it creates quite a nice effect. Then this little ticket tab that we cut out, I want that one to go in the middle here like that. And then the two that we colored in from our cut apart sheet, we need that now. I'm just going to cut them out randomly and then we'll cut them out better. Should have just cut them all out before I did this. Right, so I like to cut the little tab, the joining strips off on the back. I think it comes at, I don't know why, but it just seems to make a better effect if we cut them off the back at the back than if we try and cut them off from the front. It's probably just me, but yeah, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so next I want to add the little tabs that we painted in our little grey board cutouts. I'm thinking to put one here and another one over here. Although I think it would probably look better if we move this red tab here and we put this one here. And then so by doing that, we use color to create a visual triangle. So there's some red, 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 and that creates that nice visual triangle to draw your eye in. Okay, so that's starting to take some shape. The next is I want my title is going to go over here. I think that that's going to look quite nice over there. I'll cut this little, the little joining strips off once I've started to stick everything in place. But that looks good over there. And then obviously I want to start to add some of my gears. So I'm just quickly going to cut everything out. So I've cut out a few of the goodies I think I would like to use. I don't know if I'll use them all, so I haven't cut everything 100%, but I have them here in case I need them. So I'm going to start by adding the bigger gears first because I like to start working with the big stuff to the small stuff. And I think that this one will look quite nice under here like that. So my reason for this is I have this like stamp over here, so it kind of the oval stamp picks up nicely with the little the circle of the gear like that. And then we could add another one at the top here. Let's see, add it behind this ticket but in front of this one. Maybe at the top here we need a smaller one. So we'll put this one in there. Yeah, that could work. Maybe I'll change it later, we don't know. Right, and then we can add another one. Didn't get all the little joining goodies off. Can add another one over here. So slightly under the red and over this ticket that's under here. Something like that. And then I can bring another one. I'll take a smaller one to add in over here. We get that in there. And then another one over here maybe. So basically tucking them in behind the layers to create some depth and texture. Thinking to add another, maybe I might not, but let's see what it looks like. Another big one under here. That looks quite nice. All right, and then my arrows. I'm going to add an arrow at the bottom here and one at the top here. And then these look a little bit empty, and I think that these will look really awesome on top like that. So there we go, that's the basic idea. I might add a few extra things, I might take some things out. But what I would do now is, to be sure I like what it is I would take a photo of this. So, and that is always my suggestion, because when you take it all off, you're not going to remember where everything needs to go. So I would always suggest that once you've got it laid out in an order, the way that you kind of like it, take your photo and then we can take it from there. I'm wondering what this would look like over here. I like that. Okay. So just a little bit of reasoning behind my thought process. I like to, whatever I do in the one corner, I like to repeat that in the opposite corner. So we've got a gear here, so we have gears here. But I've put two gears here because of the one big one. We have this arrow facing in here, and I have that arrow facing in over there. I might move that tab over a little bit. We'll see when I start to assemble. Okay, and then I have an arrow pointing down to get to this, to encourage you to read my little sentiment, and another one coming up, so that will take you up and across into the love life. And everything that's going on in the page will always draw your attention to the focal point, which is the photos. So my visual triangle will always bring you back here, and the little prompts will then also force your eye to look at the little extra things that I've added to the page that I want you to have a look at. So always try and create a visual triangle somehow on your layout. It doesn't necessarily have to be with the same embellishment. It doesn't have to necessarily even be the same shape. Often the best way to do it is by using color. And I create visual triangles in all sorts of different ways. Okay, and a page doesn't only have to have one. You can have more than one visual triangle on your layout. Okay, I'm going to start to add glue to everything, and I will speed up the video for that, and then I will start the assembly process.